What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. In this video, we're doing a live ESPN PPR mock draft. This is going to be a 12-team full PPR league. I'm drafting in the 5th spot. I've already done picks 1 through 4. If you guys want to check out those videos, just go to the YouTube page and find those. There should be a playlist for you. But anyways, we're picking from the 5 spot today. We also have a couple friends with us in this lobby too. We have my brother here at pick number 4. And then we got Aiden Tobin. I'm not sure. It looks like he's pick 8. So we'll try and get a bunch of takes for you guys in this one. But before we get to the draft, looks like it's starting in about a minute. Housekeeping, the 2022 draft kit is available here. If you go to thefantasyfellowship.com or the link in the description below, we can take a look and you guys can check out the 2022 draft kit. We got projections, my cheat sheet, which will access my Excel sheet throughout the draft. We're looking at players, but go ahead and check that out. $15 gets you access to everything you need: cheat sheets, rankings, articles, and more. And yeah, here's the Google sheet, which we'll be accessing throughout the draft. So what's going on, Aiden? Busy day in the NBA. That's kind of stolen the headlines this week. We're still waiting. Looks like the Deshaun Watson hearing ended today. Still no timetable for his results. But yeah, what a day for the NBA. I just saw the Bucks got Bobby Portis back for a 4-year deal, so I love that. And yeah, man, we'll get you the discount code for that too. I do have a discount code on there, but we'll talk after the show. I'll get you a 2022 draft kit. But we're starting in about 20 seconds. What I did for the thumbnail of this video is I did put Justin Jefferson. I'm kind of just going down the rankings here. So he was the 5th best player on their rankings. So I put JJ on the main thumbnail, and I don't think he's a bad pick at pick number 5. We'll look at it and see how the board falls. But we're starting in 3, 2, 1, and let's get it going. Jonathan Taylor, of course, the first player off the board, and then after that, I mean, to me, it's Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey. Those are kind of the next 2 guys here, but there's a lot of question marks in the first round this year. And I'm just going to filter real quick by my PPR flex ranking, so we can kind of take a peek and see what we got going on here. I do have, let me just make sure I'm filtered. So my top PPR guys, Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, I have them outscoring Jonathan Taylor. So that's ideal. I think if you want to get a receiver, those are the 2 to get. Pick number 2 is still coming in here, so I'm imagining Cooper Kupp coming off the board, but we're going to try and get Justin Jefferson on the board. And if you've watched my stuff, I'm excited as a Packer fan. I'm saying I'm excited about the Minnesota Vikings offense for fantasy football this year. Austin Eckler goes pick number 2. I think if you're in the first round, Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook are both top-tier targets. I think if you're in that 5 to 6 range, that's where I want Justin Jefferson. If you're in the back end of the first round, I think Dalvin Cook is a fine consolation as a running back. I actually have Dalvin Cook as my 7th best player on the board. Again, Justin Jefferson, my number 2 player, not too far off of our guy Cooper Kupp either. And I might actually be more optimistic about the Vikings offense than the Rams offense this year. So we're on the board here. My head says I should take Christian McCaffrey, but just to do something different, I've done running backs with the first pick in the last 4 videos. So we're going to take Justin Jefferson here, and we're going to start with a wide receiver build and see what kind of running backs we can snag for value here. So if you're in the 5th spot, I think if this was a real draft, I'd be hard-pressed to take McCaffrey, but, he's got his injury issues. He's got his Carolina Panthers issues. So, to me, taking Justin Jefferson, you get the best player who arguably, man, he might be the wide receiver 1 this year. I think you can make a case for him to be ahead of Cooper Kupp. So I love Justin Jefferson. And then who knows, round 2, we might continue to take receiver, but there's a handful of guys I like, and we'll kind of just get there when we get there. But again, I do have Justin Jefferson here as my number 2 receiver and number 2 player in just terms of flex rankings. Some other guys that stick out, if we can get Mike Evans round 2, I'm all aboard that. Joe Mixon probably won't fall to us, but we might have to, decide between Leonard Fournette, maybe Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. Those are some of the running backs that could fall to us. After I took Justin Jefferson, you see CMC, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris. So those are your status quo first-round running backs. There's 6 of them. You got Jonathan Taylor, Eckler. There is Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, and Najee Harris. So those are the clear, I guess that's a top 5. Those are the clear top 5 running backs coming off the board this season. And they all belong in the first round. I think people are nervous about CMC and Derrick Henry just because wear and tear and injuries, whereas Najee Harris is fresh. Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, those guys are rock solid. And then Dalvin Cook, I guess he's that 6th running back that does belong in the first round. So you're looking at 6 running backs, and I've seen upwards of 5 or 6 receivers whether that is Cooper Kupp, Chase, Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and sometimes you get Travis Kelce crashing the first round as well. And yeah, we got the KD trade request, free agents, and now UCLA. Yeah, it's a crazy day, just shifting the landscape of sports, NBA and college football and basketball as well. So I'm excited about what's going on. Busy day, last day of June. Devontae Adams, round 1, pick 9. There's Stephon Diggs. Deebo Samuel in the first round. You usually don't see him go in the first. And then Dalvin Cook falling all the way to round 1, pick 12. That's probably my favorite value right there. I mean, I'd take Dalvin Cook probably up here at 7. Again, he's my 7th ranked player, so that's kind of where I see the value there. I don't have first round grades on Devontae Adams or Deebo Samuel. Or Tyreek Hill for that matter. Tyreek Hill going round 2, pick 1. And then Alvin Kamara going round 2, pick 2. That is a bad pick. He's going to be suspended for, it sounds like, a minimum 6 games. So to take him round 2 is just, a guy probably doesn't know what's going on yet. CeeDee Lamb, round 2, pick 3. I have no problem with CeeDee Lamb there. He is a top 10 wide receiver for me. And I think off the board, what did you get him as? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th receiver off the board. That's kind of fair value. The one thing I'm questioning about, though, is Dak Prescott. He's only had one top 10 receiver in his career, and that was Amari Cooper, I think in 2019, and he was just the wide receiver 10. So I'm super bullish on CeeDee Lamb. I worry about his up ceiling. I think he's a top 10 receiver, but round 2, I can't complain. We're up to pick here. We missed on a run of running backs. Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, and Leonard Fournette. That's going to make me pivot here. And I mentioned it before. I guess the top-rated player I have left on the board, I have him as a first-round grade, the 12th overall flex. That's going to be Mike Evans. So we're going to start our draft here with Justin Jefferson. And if you don't know, Mike Evans is my ideal round 2 draft pick right now. He's my wide receiver 5 off the board. And again, I have him ranked 12th. I take him as high as, if you have the 12th spot, I think you have to think about taking Mike Evans there. There's going to be no Chris Godwin, no Rob Gronkowski for maybe half the year on both those guys. So Mike Evans, the dude has scored 27 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons with Tom Brady. He is by far one of my favorite receivers to take in the second round if I'm not getting one of those running backs that we mentioned, Mixon, Jones, Swift, or Fournette. So all aboard the Mike Evans train. After I took Mike Evans, you see James Conner, Javonte Williams. Those guys are more third-round picks for me. I don't know if I love taking them there. Cam Akers. ESPN rankings are really high on Cam Akers. I think in some of the best ball formats that I do, Akers is a 4th-round pick, so that's a little surprising there. Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, David Montgomery, again, a little bit early for him. I think he's more of a 4th or 5th-round value this year. And then Nick Chubb, that's fair value there. And then my brother goes and gets Mark Andrews. So we're back on the board here. I don't know why Travis Kelce is still on the board. This is kind of the clear takeaway for me. Again, we can look and see where I got Kelce. I have Kelce as the 11th best player in flex rankings, and he is my tight end 1 over Mark Andrews. So man, he's just going to get funneled to targets. So Travis Kelce will lock him in there, and we won't be scrapping for tight ends. And yeah, man, the Aaron Jones, I was watching Football Guys do a podcast today, and that's one of the best 2nd-round picks you can make. Aaron Jones, a candidate to lead the team in receptions, whether that's 60, 70 receptions as his floor. But you're talking about a guy that could potentially be like Austin Eckler-like in terms of, reaching 70-plus receptions, getting almost 200 carries, and who knows how many touchdowns he's gonna get with the Packers. Aaron Jones isn't too far removed from putting up a league high touchdowns back, I think it was 2019. He was the overall, I guess in PPR, I think he was the RB2 behind Christian McCaffrey. 16 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving. He tied McCaffrey for 19 total touchdowns. So I'm not saying he's going to get 19, but it's not going to surprise me if he flirts up there with double-digit touchdowns. And so my problem with Kelce is I get it. Defenses are going to be keying in on Kelce, but round 3, pick 5 to get a guy who's guaranteed probably over 80 receptions and well over 1,000 yards, it seems a bit silly. He should be a 2nd-round pick. So for me, I don't love taking tight end early. It's hard for me to do that because I like the value guys later here. But if you're going to give me Kelce round 3, pick 5, I'm going to lock that in because, man, at the end of the day, you look at even last year with Tyreek Hill playing, you see Travis Kelce in terms of tight end points He put up, in PPR, he still put up 265 points. If you're ranking that as a receiver, he would have been wide receiver 8. So he's as valuable as some of the players being drafted around him, probably like the 10th or 12th receiver in that range. So I love taking Kelce if I get him in the 3rd. Yeah, and I'm kind of stubborn the same way. That's why I like, again, I'm doing a new draft at different spots. Like next Thursday, we'll do pick 6. But trying to move around the board and get different takes. But man, I've seen Travis Kelce go in the 1st round. So for him to fall to round 3, not sure what's up with ESPN's ADP on that, but I'll take that. And again, it's going to make me do something different. I'm through 3 rounds and I got no running backs. So that's very interesting. I guess as I'm looking here, I'm going to be up on the board here in a few picks, but I can get Michael Pittman Jr., Mike Williams if I want more receivers. Those are 2 of my favorite guys. And I do have let's see, Mike Williams. I have a top 20 grade on him, and Michael Pittman has my top 21. So these guys definitely intrigue me a lot, as well as Courtland Sutton. I'll try and get some more receivers here. So I guess we're going 0 RB. In terms of the running backs on the board here, Dobbins, Breece Hall, Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, Sanders, all of these guys have questions. I think at this point I'm better off punting and trying to peck off some of these running backs down the board here, whether it's Clyde, Damian Harris, AJ Dillon, Pollard. I think I like this group of running backs later, and I think that's what we're going to do. This just the way the board's falling. I'm looking at the value of the receivers right now, and man, if we can get Mike Williams on this team, that's going to be sick. But I just want to see what let's take a look and see what Aiden's been cooking up here. So he did have, I think, the 8th overall pick. He got Najee Harris, comes back with Aaron Jones, strong 1-2 punch, and then Deontay and Mike Williams. He stole my Mike Williams. So I can't argue with that pick. That's a strong pick. Good balanced start for Aiden Tobin so far. And then I'm up to pick here. And this is probably going to seem like a reach. ESPN has him as the 56th best player off the board. I got 30 seconds to do the job here, but I have Courtland Sutton ranked here ahead of Deebo Samuel and T. Higgins, Keenan Allen. I have him as a top 12 receiver, which means he's a wide receiver 1. So to me, that's where the value is. I'm interested in Breece Hall, Gibson, but not till later. I think getting Russell Wilson's number 1 receiver is where I want to be. ESPN likes Jerry Jeudy. I'm fine with Jerry Jeudy. I just think if anyone wants to bet with me, I'm taking Courtland Sutton to lead that team in touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy didn't catch any touchdowns last year. And you think about Russell Wilson, kind of like DK Metcalf Courtland Sutton and DK Metcalf's games translate together. And it just sounds like in minicamp back in May and early June, it sounded like Courtland Sutton blew everyone away at Denver camp. So to me, Sutton's the clear Denver target you want there at receiver. And yeah, so I guess at some point, McLaurin to be honest, Carson Wentz might be the best quarterback that our guy Terry McLaurin has played with. He's played with Alex Smith and Taylor Heineke, even Ryan Fitzpatrick for a game. Like, I know Wentz has his issues, but he might actually be one of the best players that he's played with. And we're up to pick here. Patrick Mahomes is still on the board. I do like Darnell Mooney. In a lot of leagues, it looks like it. Wrong one here. So I do have 2 running back spots to fill. I don't really see anyone that I want to take at this point, though, for running back. I'm liking some of the receivers. I'm into Gabe Davis. I have him as a guy that's going to catch a lot of touchdowns. And I do like Darnell Mooney because I think he's going to be a high volume guy. So the board to me says Darnell Mooney. And again, if I don't care about filling up my roster, like I'm not going to go reach for a running back to get a starting running back right now. I think in most leagues, you can start 3 receivers in a flex. So to me, I have 4 really solid wide receivers and Travis Kelce. So I'm starting all these guys in a standard, I guess in a traditional league where you can start basically 4 receivers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then now round 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm looking for a quarterback and I'm just going to start pummeling the running backs here. And as I look here, I do have Darnell Mooney. I have him as the 33rd player off my board. And if we look at the receiver rankings, Mooney is my wide receiver 19. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then back to Aiden's thing. I have McLaurin at wide receiver 18 and DK here at wide receiver 21. So I think it's going to be bumpy, ups and downs, highs and lows, which I like taking those guys in best ball. But actually, if you look at what DK did with Geno Smith last year, it was not bad. Let me actually look at that. So Metcalf, wide receiver 15 last season. I can't remember when Russ Wilson came back, but I know he got hurt in this game 5 against the Rams. And DK did catch his 2 touchdowns with Geno Smith. And then you see a run here, 4 straight games, 26.8, 11.8, 17.6, and 22.3. So it feels wrong to want to invest in DK Metcalf, but he had 4 straight games of really good numbers here with Geno Smith, and then he did fall off a little bit here for a little bit, but he came back strong at the end of the year with Russ Wilson. So I guess I'm okay with getting a guy in DK Metcalf there. So we're on the board again here. I'm gonna look at the quarterbacks available: Lamar, Kyler, Dak. I missed on Jalen Hurts. I would have loved him, but there's tons of QBs that I like. As far as I think I gotta look. Again, I like some of these receivers here, but I'm looking primarily at the running backs right now. And it looks like I'm going to go with, gun to my head, 8 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and get Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So the Chiefs starting running back, I know they have Jerick McKinnon there. Ronald Jones, I'm not concerned about. He fizzled out in Tampa Bay, doesn't catch passes. And if you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire's numbers last year, and keep in mind, this is with a healthy Darrell Williams too, 10, 9, 19, 11, 15.6. He did have a couple boo-boo games here, but for the most part, he was in double digits most games here. So I do like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Again, he had, what did he have? He had he had to get the gallbladder. I think he had gallbladder surgery last year, and he dropped down like 160 pounds. So that's really interesting. I think he's going to be good and ready to go this year. AR13 with big on QB, I trust. Is that who'd you end up getting here, Aiden? Let me see. Where are we? You got Darren Waller. I like that pick. And then let me look at your squad here. All right, this is looking pretty good. You got Najee, Aaron Jones, Deontay, Mike Williams, Waller, and Robinson. So you're building a really nice stacked flex group here. And now we get to this is okay. So the way I've been telling people to do things is round 6, 7, and 8. That's when you should be taking your quarterback. Now for me, I still like a lot of quarterbacks. I'm going to target one, I think in round 8. If I can get, I guess Dak, Brady, Rodgers, Burrow, Wilson, even Stafford and Carr. Like I'm totally okay with letting one of those guys be my quarterback this year. But I'm going to go ahead and get one of my favorite running backs of the season. And that's going to be, I have to reach on him here, but to me, he's a top 20 back. It's AJ Dillon. And he's going to be my RB2. I did read something on Football Guys' email newsletter the other day that they're expecting Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon to combine for 500 touches this year. Now, AJ Dillon last year, what did he end up with? So he had 187 carries plus the 34 receptions. That was 221 touches last year. And they're saying that's going to go up. So I see, again, he was over 1,100 all-purpose yards last year and 7 touchdowns. I think this is his floor, guys, and I'm really liking the Packers' running attack this year. So you see AJ Dillon, I have him there as RB19. I have no problem with drafting him to be my running back too. And then again, now that we're loaded at receiver, we have 4 studs. We have Kelce, and now I can start to kind of look around it and see what I want to fill in my roster with backup running backs. But man, the quarterback value here. Hopefully, we can get one of Rodgers, Burrow, Wilson. I think that's going to be pretty fruitful there. And I guess worst case scenario, if I wanted to ultimately punt on the quarterback position, it's Kirk Cousins. I have no problem waiting for a guy like Kirk Cousins. Again, last year, if you look at Kirk's numbers, he's been a quarterback in a traditional 12-team setting. He's been a QB1 in 2 straight seasons. So last year, Kirk Cousins, quarterback 10. 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, over 4,200 yards. And the year before that, I believe he was 11 or 12. Quarterback 11. And they're saying all the reports out of Minnesota this year is that they're going to be more pass happy, which I love to hear. And not only do I have Justin Jefferson here, so I can complete the stack. I guess if I want, I still like Russell Wilson here a lot. But man, I ultimately don't mind punting on Kirk Cousins. And I guess if we just look at his numbers, let's read some of these. 21, 16, 10, 14, 20, 15, 25, 17, 21, 13. Every game was over double digits, so he didn't crap the bed, so to speak here. And he threw a touchdown in every single game last year. And man, I guess if that's the way this is going to go, I mean, I really like waiting. I guess Russell Wilson's still there, so that would be the ideal pick. But man, he's probably going to get auto-picked here if I miss on it. So yeah, he does get auto-picked. And I'm on the clock here. So we're not going to reach on quarterback yet. We can still wait for Kirk Cousins. I believe almost everyone's got a quarterback already. So Elijah Moore, Hopkins, Kadarius Toney, Russell Gage should be off the board right now. And I know I already have 4 receivers, but again, no Chris Godwin, no Rob Gronkowski. Russell Gage is going to be the number 2 receiving weapon on the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers. So I'm thinking I draft Russell Gage and I call it a day at the receiver position. And again, in most leagues, the leagues that I play in, I start 2 receivers and 2 flexes. So I'm going to be starting 4 receivers every week. So I'll be able to decide between Mooney and Russell Gage at some point here. But I'm still feeling really good about my depth. Let's take a peek here and see what Aiden's been up to. He does get Matt Stafford, and he loads up his first Jaguar of the draft, Christian Kirk. Can't complain with that. I think Christian Kirk could be 80, 90 catch guy as his floor. I'm pretty excited about what he can do with his new team. And of course, I'm happy for Trevor Lawrence, man, finally getting out from under the bad coaching last year. We'll see what he can do. With my next pick here, again, so I'm just filtered by all positions. You're starting to see running backs trickle in. So there was a huge run on wide receivers in that, basically from the 5th through the 8th, 9th round. And all of a sudden here, I'm looking at some running backs that I like. And I know it's Miami Dolphins running back situation. It's bleak, but Chase Edmonds, they paid Chase Edmonds. He was the first guy to get signed in free agency. I'm feeling pretty good about Chase Edmonds. And again, he's going to be my running back 3. He's not going to be starting for us. He just, in case of emergency, if we need to put him out there, we can totally flex him. If you look at his numbers last year with the Cardinals, I know he was hurt. It actually doesn't show his numbers. Let's actually go find those. Let's look at Chase Edmonds. And again, it's different teams. It was the Cardinals compared to Miami. But what's his name? Myles Gaskin had some moments last year. And for the most part, Chase Edmonds is a double-digit point back. He's a receiving back. If he can catch 3-4 balls from Tua each week, I'm thinking Chase Edmonds can be a fun flex play. And yeah, man, I can't believe it. In these ESPN drafts, like Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins, those are the next best available. So if I can get Kirk Cousins in this draft, that's running it till empty. But for the most part, quarterback points are a dime a dozen. You need one of the top guys, otherwise it really doesn't matter, I think. And if we look real quick, let me actually look at that. So in a traditional 12-team quarterback format, you're looking at, as far as points per game, the top guys, Allen and Brady, averaged, upwards of 23, 24 points per game. But quarterbacks down here, 10 through 14, you're looking at Kirk averaging 19 points per game. Murray was down here because he missed some games. But Tannehill, 16. So I'm not giving up too much here. And I just know the rest of my roster is pretty stacked. So we're on the board here. I'm looking at some guys that I like. As far as all positions, again, you're starting to see running backs trickle up the board here. I'm going to go ahead and take Rhamondre Stevenson. This is a guy that I believe if you are in the 10th, 11th round, and if you wait for running backs, you have to have Rhamondre Stevenson on your board. I actually have Rhamondre as my RB33, which is ranked right around Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt. I think with no James White to start the season, you're going to see a lot of Rhamondre Stevenson as a pass catcher. He's already been reported that he's been working on that part of his game and picking up blitzes and just learning how to be a better receiver. So Rhamondre Stevenson could be the 1B behind Damien Harris. And who knows, if Damien Harris gets hurt, you're looking at Rhamondre being a slam dunk running back 1 style pick. And he kind of reminds me of like the battering ram that LeGarrette Blount used to be, but he's smoother. LeGarrette was just kind of a one-trick pony where he was just going to gash you and run over you. Rhamondre's got a little bit more finesse to his game. So I'm all aboard the Rhamondre Stevenson. So we waited on running back. We got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, AJ Dillon, Chase Edmonds, and Rhamondre Stevenson. That's not a bad stable of backs. Again, we only need 2 of those guys each week. And as it looks here, by filtering by all positions, it looks like I have to take Kirk Cousins with my next pick. So this was probably like as good as it could be as far as perfect execution on waiting for the quarterback here. We avoided tons of players, and we waited probably 2, 3, 4 rounds. Again, I could have taken Russell Wilson at one point there. But here we go. We wait on Kirk Cousins, and we complete the Cousins-Jefferson stack. And all of a sudden, our complete starting lineup is there. We have Cousins with our receivers, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Courtland, Sutton, and then throw in Travis Kelce in there. We have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, AJ Dillon as our running backs. And then look at our bench. I mean, Darnell Mooney, 80 receptions. Russell Gage, maybe 70 to 80 receptions. Chase Edmonds, we know he's going to be a valuable PPR back. And then, of course, Rhamondre Stevenson, who's kind of just like in case of emergency break glass kind of guy, who, if everything goes to shit, Rhamondre Stevenson is kind of our next man up. That's fine. We'll see what he can do. And just keep in mind, the coaching staff likes him. You see some of these games where he was getting double-digit carries. I think you're going to see a lot more of these where he's going to be a focal point of the offense. They want to try and get him to the ball 10 to 15 times. I think he's setting himself up for a really nice position on our benches and drafts this year. So with that being said, I have 3 more bench spots to fill. I'm feeling pretty good about where things are at. Maybe we get another running back or 2. I'm not really interested in getting a backup tight end. We can check the value here. I still love Irv Smith, Cole Kmet. Those guys are strong values here, but they're never going to start. As long as Kelce's healthy, they're never going to start over Kelce for me. So maybe we pass on that. Let me go back to all positions. I'll tell you what, Aiden, I think me even getting Trevor Lawrence at this point makes a lot of sense. But it's the way the board has fallen it's telling me to take one of these tight ends, whether it's Kmet or Irv Smith. Again, I already have a Bear and a Viking on my team. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draft. I don't see any running backs on my board either. I got 25 seconds to do the job. I mean, there's some interesting, flyers here. But I think if I go back to all positions, I'm just going to go ahead and get Irv Smith here because I got the Viking stack. Cousins, Jefferson, and then Irv Smith, who I'm actually pretty excited about. I think I have him as my tight end 12. So who knows if anything happens to Kelce, and then I have Kmet ranked right after him. So I'm good on tight end. 2 more bench spots to fill. Let's kind of just go through and add some of the guys I like. I still like Trevor Lawrence. Again, we waited on Cousins. Maybe Trevor Lawrence might not be a bad QB2 here. Looking at other positions, J.D. McKissick, another scat back that we could potentially like. Let me go ahead and hit the running backs here. Darrell Henderson Jr. is there. Really nobody's. I like Kenneth Gainwell. He'll be our last pick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and get Trevor Lawrence. I have the 2 QBs now, Cousins and Lawrence. If you really look at Lawrence's numbers, I mean, they were atrocious, but he started playing better towards the end of the season. You see some double digits here. Especially the last couple games, he actually threw the ball decently. So I'm thinking we're going to see a huge step forward from him. And I guess defense and kicker, those should always be your last picks. I guess if you wanted to grab a defense, one of my favorite defenses would be this year, of course, the Packers, the Bills. Those are 2 of the top defenses I think you can own this season. Especially, I think Buffalo should be one of the first defenses just because they have kind of the weakest division offensively to defend. So those defenses stick out. But, man, I'm going to go ahead and get my wild card. I think this is the guy that you want to leave your draft with as one of your last picks. It's going to be Kenneth Gainwell. I don't know if anyone saw Miles Sanders talk last night about fantasy football, but he basically said, don't draft me in fantasy football. They use too many running backs. And Kenneth Gainwell ended up scoring 5 or 6 touchdowns for them last year. He's the pass catching back for Jalen Hurts, and I just think they're going to pass more this year. So I'll take Kenneth Gainwell there. My bench in week 9 buys. Let's not worry too much about buys. Again, if in the grand scheme of things, you play 13, 14 regular season weeks, a loss, if you have to suffer a loss, that's fine. Ayuk, Gordon, Gallup. And Michael Gallup is a good pick, but he's going to be on the PUP list or maybe miss the first 4 weeks. So he's the guy that you'll be able to slide to the IR. So not too bad there. I do like some of the depth here. Melvin Gordon, Ayuk, Gallup, Kirk, those are the top guys here. And then I like the flyer on Dameon Pierce. And who knows? Mark Ingram could be the starter for the first 6 weeks. And then I do like the shot on Tyquan Thornton, who I'm actually excited about the Patriots offense a little bit. I think they could be kind of fun. Let's go ahead and look at the defenses that I can potentially pick here. Nothing I love is basically I want to pick a team that's going to win games for the most part here. I think the Chargers defense could be really surprising. So there's really nothing that separates it. So let me just look at kickers real quick. Jake Elliott, Cade York, Succop, Robbie Gould, Minnesota. Oh man, defenses and kickers. I don't play in too many leagues with defenses and kickers, so that's why I'm not too caring about this. I'll take the Eagles defense. They have that good secondary. They have a good defensive line here, and I do think the NFC East is going to have to run through Philadelphia this year. Sorry, Cowboys fans, but that's just kind of where I'm feeling. And then the kicker should always be your last pick here. Helaire doesn't look good so far. They took a shot on Thornton. He might be the deep guy. I mean, I still like. I don't know who else was there for receiver. It won't show me, will it? Yeah, it won't show me. But I do like. I like Kendrick Bourne. I'm interested in Devontae Parker. I think Jacoby Myers is still the PPR guy. But yeah, they're gonna mix in Tyquan Thornton for things. And in terms of best ball league, that's where I've been drafting a guy like Tyquan Thornton because who knows, he could end up catching 4 or 5 touchdowns and going for 60, 70 yards at a time. So I'm into it. I just for redraft, I think it might be difficult. I don't know how trustworthy he'll be to start in our lineups, but I like the idea. I think he could be a good player for us this year. But we're just finishing this up here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Again, we do live mock drafts every Thursday night. Next week, I'll be doing the 6th overall spot, and we'll keep going until we get the 12th. And then who knows? I'll start to sprinkle in some Yahoos and some sleepers and some other platforms if you guys need it. But if you have any requests, I can do those as well. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. If you guys are new to the channel, you should definitely subscribe. Check out that 2022 draft kit that we got. You'll get access to all my rankings, projections, and everything. And it's a working document, so I'm constantly updating it. I'll go ahead and take the Buccaneers kicker just because they're going to score points. And we'll call it a day. And here we go. Top to bottom, I guess I'll kind of do it in groups. I have Kirk Cousins with Trevor Lawrence as my QB. So we punted on quarterback. I'll play the quarterback game. See how it goes. Yeah, I guess here's my first 4 picks. I got Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce. Round 3 is just insane. Courtland Sutton, who again I shared my feeling. I think Sutton's the clear guy that you want from Denver. And then 5th round is interesting because I mean there were some quarterbacks that I thought could be valuable there, but I think Darnell Mooney's an 80 to 90 catch player for Justin Fields. Our first running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and AJ Dillon. They'll be our starters. I'm hoping for them to hit minimum 10, 12 points per week. We'll call in reinforcements if we need it. And then there's Russell Gage, at that point, he's our 5th receiver. That's just a luxury at that point. We come back with Chase Edmonds or Rhamondre Stevenson, solid, running backs that we can call up if needed. We get Kirk Cousins and Irv Smith, so we're all in on the Vikings passing attack. There's Trevor Lawrence, Kenneth and Gainwell, who I think could be a lot of fun, Eagles D, and Ryan Succop. So that was the draft. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Aiden, for hanging out with us. Let me just look at your final roster here. I like the balancedness of it. You started with Najee Harris and Aaron Jones, came back with Deontay and Mike Williams. I actually like Mike Williams more than I like Deontay. I have him ranked higher. And then Darren Waller, I think you got him in the 5th. To me, that was probably one of your best values. I think people are sleeping on Darren Waller. I have him up here as my tight end 3, and he's not too far off of those top guys, Kelce and Andrews. If he catches 10 touchdowns this year, he could be the tight end number 1. So I'm really into Darren Waller there. And then I like you were able to stack Allen Robinson with Matt Stafford, so that feels pretty good. Who cares? Like if Cooper Kupp scores, you still score. But if Robinson scores, you get the double points there. The Jags D we might want another defense at some point, but I could see some games we're going to want to start him this year for sure. And then a strong bench: Kirk, Ayuk, Gordon, Gallup. You're going to be needing those guys. And then I do think Dameon Pierce, a good stash for later. And then Mark Ingram, a guy that you could potentially use if anything needed in the first month and a half or so. And then your walk-off pick was Tyquan Thornton. So a lot of fun. Again, check out all the links in the description. If you guys want to play best ball leagues, I got some codes in there. Check out the draft kit, all that good stuff. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you are new. And thank you guys so much for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. We'll do it again next Thursday. And have a good night, guys. Adios.